What's going on, guys? Welcome back to the channel. In today's video, I'm going to be going over some of the things that I really like about this car and some of the things I'm not a huge fan of. This isn't going to be a list or anything like that. You know, I don't really have in particular numbered things. They're just a couple things, that I wish the car did better and a couple things that I really think the car does well. So let's get started with some of the things that I really enjoy. The first thing I would say that I really like about this car is the looks. I personally really think the S550 looks really good. I know a lot of people out there, claim that the S197 was the last true Mustang. And you know what? I'm going to have to disagree on that. And that's fine if you disagree with my opinion. Me personally, I really like the body lines of the S550. I like the way it looks. As you know, I have a 2019, so I really like the facelift. I know a lot of people think that the 15 through 17 was a better looking car, but again, I have to disagree. But yeah, I mean, I would say that the first thing, I really enjoy about this car and owning this car is the looks. I really enjoy looking at it. I think it's a beautiful car. So anyway, moving on, I guess, would be the second thing I really enjoy about this car is the power potential. Or not just the potential, but the power it has. From the factory, it's got 460 horsepower in the Gen 3. Well, not the newer ones, but the older Gen 3s, 1920, 18, 19, 20, they had 460 horsepower, to the crank, which is, probably around 420 to the wheels. And that's pretty awesome, but not just that, but the potential that these cars have, man. Whether you want to keep it NA and you just intake tune headers, E85, even that, you're pushing 485 wheel horsepower. You do a couple other, NA things like a Cobra Jet or whatever, cams, and you might be pushing 500, 550. But not only NA, but boost as well. These cars, especially the Gen 3s, just eat boost. They love it. Whether that be a Whipple, Pro Charger, Hellion twin turbo, big single, whatever you want to do. These cars just love it. And it's so easy to make crazy power with this platform. So you don't need to go out and buy a $95,000 Shelby GT500 if you want a boosted Mustang. You can slap a $9,000 Whipple on this thing and make 700 horsepower all day on 93, even more on E85. So that'd be the first thing I would say I really enjoy about this car, or the second thing I really enjoy about this car. The third thing, I guess, would be, some of the options that this car comes with. Right out of the gate, I have the 8-inch touchscreen. I've got the 10R80, and that's, I got the performance package, and I got that for a pretty good price. Obviously, you can get more. There are better things like, I don't have the leather seats or anything like that. I don't have the 401A package, which kind of leads me into, one of the things I, don't like as much. But anyway, for what you get for the price, it's pretty good. But leading into that, I wish that, the digital dash, for example. I don't know. I'm pretty sure they didn't change or anything like this, but I wish that was just an option you could choose. I really, really liked the digital dash. I thought it's really cool. And I wish, that was an option. You could just click digital dash without having to go as far as getting the whole 401A package. Because, me personally, I don't really care about the Smart Safe package or really anything else that comes with the 401A package. For me, the only reason I would have gotten a 401A package would be for the digital touchscreen. And again, don't get me wrong, it's a very easy thing to install if you don't have it. It does cost, $2,000, but if you really want it, it is an option out there. But I wish that, from Ford, you could just click a button and add it on, just like you could click a button and add on the 10R80 instead of the MT82. So, I think that's a pet peeve of mine is, I wish small things like that were optionable. But anyway, that's just one thing. Another thing I guess I would say is not my favorite about this car is the space inside the cabin. And I know that's weird, I get it, it's a coupe. You're not buying this car for space. But hear me out. What I wish Ford had done is just done away with the back seats. They're literally pointless. You can see back there. I don't know if you'll be able to see this here, but my passenger seat is literally touching the rear seats. But what's the point of that? Sure, you could probably fit, a baby seat back there, but realistically, no adult or full-sized human being is really going to fit back there comfortably. So I wish Ford, from the factory, again, it could have been an option, could have just done like a rear seat delete. I mean, they're what, $150, $200 on the aftermarket. So I don't know why Ford couldn't have just done something cool like that as an option. You know, if you don't want the rear seats, you know, don't include them. That's another thing. It's just there's really no point to having them. You know, maybe you could, if you had a kid, you could do that. But again, who the heck would want to sit back there regardless? So that's another pet peeve of mine. But you know, it's not a big deal. Again, like I said, you could buy one for $200, $250, or you could build your own. It's not that big of a deal. So like I said, these aren't, you know, things that like, oh, they're absolutely, you know, don't buy this car because of it. You know, they're easily fixable things. I just wish that, you know, Ford had maybe put a little bit more thought into it. But anyway, you know, going back to some positivity here, you know, another thing I really like about this car is the engine. You know, the 5-liter V8. I really like the Coyote engine. I think the platform is awesome. You know, the Gen 3 especially, I think is just unbelievable. You know, I really like, you know, some people will say like, oh, it doesn't have low down power, which yeah, it doesn't. But you know what, for me, like, I really like that high revving screaming Coyote. If you're not a fan of that, you know, you can always go with the Camaro with the 6.2 or the Hemi, you know, whatever it is, you know, you choose. But for me personally, I really like the Coyote. So that's another thing I really enjoy about this car. I just thought of another thing, mentioning Hemis. Another thing I don't really enjoy about this car is the weight of the car. It's a pretty big car, heavy car. I know a fully loaded 401A premium, you know, performance pack car weighs, with somebody in it, probably close to 4,000 pounds. Again, I don't have the premium 401A, so I'm guessing mine probably with me in it weighs maybe 3,800 pounds, 39 maybe. It's probably minuscule. It's probably not that big of a difference. But, you know, I really wish Ford had, you know, come up with a way to make these cars lighter. You know, the Camaros are a couple hundred pounds lighter. And, you know, like the Challengers, like the Scat Packs, are not much heavier. I mean, they are heavier, but not really by much. So, again, I wish Ford had, you know, figured out a way to, you know, make these cars a little bit lighter. You know, it's not, again, not the biggest deal. You can do, you know, some weight reduction on these cars pretty easily. But, you know, it could always be better. I think it always could be improved. But, again, like I said, you know, these aren't things that I would say would deter anybody from buying this car. They're super fixable things. You know, it's super easy to reduce weight. It's super easy to do power on this car. You know, it's super easy to swap over some things. Like if you don't have the 8-inch touchscreen and you want the 8-inch touchscreen, it's really not that hard to just pull it out and slap a new one in. Again, with the digital dash, if you don't have that, it's really not that hard to just get one in the aftermarket and put it in. You know, and there's a lot of cool things you can do on these cars. You know, a lot of people, you know, are able to throw an intake and a tune on and, you know, unlock a little bit of power. It's not that hard. You don't have to like tear the motor down to get any power out of this car, and I think that's really awesome. You know, is it the most, you know, accessible to do those kind of things if you really want to go like max effort? Probably not. You know, I'm sure, you know, the Fords are easy. I mean, they are easy to work on, and I will give them that. You know, if you know a thing or two about cars, you know, the Mustang will probably be one of the easier cars to work on. You know, a lot of things are pretty cheap for these cars. You know, they're not super expensive, which I really enjoy about this car. But anyway, you know, that's really going to do it. Like I said, this wasn't supposed to be like a list or anything. There was just a couple things I really like about this car, and there are things that I, you know, wish Ford had done differently. But overall, you know, this car, I love this car. You know, I would recommend it to anybody who was asking if they should buy this car. Absolutely. But again, that's something for you to decide. You know, you should, you know, if you're looking at all the muscle cars, you know, Camaros, Mustangs, you know, Challengers, Chargers, you should go test drive each one of them, sit in them, because, you know, me as a Mustang guy, I can tell you things I like about this car, things I don't. And, you know, again, I've looked at Camaros and things like that. You know, I didn't like the visibility, but maybe that's something that you don't care about. Maybe that's something that you can deal with every day. You know, if you're looking for a car that's only NA, you want it like the